Hi, welcome to this Grandma's Life podcast. I'm your host, theciaellis. Get ready to laugh, learn, and grow with me as we explore growing old in an ever changing world. One of the good things about growing old is people judge you less when you sometimes say outrageous things. I'm getting older and I've had a fascinating life. I also have opinions. You may not agree with those opinions, and I may not care. Even now, I am passionate about many things. I love to learn. I love quotes. I love my animals on the farm, and I care about my country. Join me as we explore loving life, even as we age. Okay, and I am experimenting. I haven't done this in a year or so. I'm experimenting as if I can start doing live streams. I don't know that I did it right, but I did record it. So even if it didn't go live, then I can go ahead and put it out at a later time and get that done. So we'll see how it goes. It'd be kind of cool if I could start doing live streams and interacting with some of you guys. And when I do get the neck hand when I do get it figured out, I will let you know in advance when you can join me. All right, today is June 8th, 2024. This is episode 59. Are you relying on your spouse too much? But first, let's do some farm happenings. Oh my gosh, guys, just in the month of May, we got 17.45 inches of rain on our farm. And so I don't know, the pigs, well, at first, especially with the piglets, they were cold and miserable and they were having a really rough time with it. But I think as it heats up and they're getting older anyway, and they're having a good time in all the mud and whatever else they're doing. So they're doing pretty good. I've got a batch of ducklings that just hatched. I think I started 30 eggs, had a really poor hatch rate. I've got an incubator that I keep limping along, and I only had three ducklings hatch on this time, and I've got like 30 more eggs of chicken eggs for layers in my incubator again. So yeah, my hatch rate's been really, really low, and I'm not exactly sure. The only thing I can think of at this time it is my incubator. It's had better days, and I may have to look into just doing something else maybe next year. We'll find out. The piglets are growing. They're growing fast. My poor mama pig, she has been trying to feed 11 piglets that are growing fast, and I've been trying to keep her fed I'm trying to monitor her. She's slender. I mean, she's not skinny, but she's not big old fat or anything like that. She's not as healthy as I want her to be. So I've been trying to give her extra. I give her extra grass. I side extra grass almost every day. She's been getting extra feed. She gets all of the scraps instead of the other pigs. So I'm trying to help her keep her conditioning up a little bit. We'll see. But with 11 piglets, it's got to be hard. Daisy and Wilbur. All right, Wilbur is my boar, and Daisy is the other sow. I have three sows, but Daisy was one of my original sows that had such a terrible farrowing last year, and I wanted to breed her one more time, see how she would do. And if she doesn't breed well this time, then she's going to go to the processor. Well, so I've had her in there, I think, for 3 months now. I'm going to check the calendar to verify, but I need to start seeing some evidence of pregnancy sometime soon. And the only thing is, Wilbur and Daisy fight. I tell you what, I'm glad they're not married and they can separate here pretty soon because they do not get along. So I'm not confident that there's going to be any piglets from those two anyway. We'll have to see. Yoda, my I can't. I don't know if he's still a piglet. He's a year old now, but he was from the farrowing that we had from Waddles last year. Yoda was the runt. He's the one that I don't know. He's awfully sweet. He's funny, and he's got messed. His head is shaped oddly. His ears are shaped oddly. That's why I call him Yoda. I have suspected that he is deaf. I'm still not sure either that he's just really in his own little world and brain damaged or something. I don't know. But he is also experiencing some hind leg issues, and just like his dad did. But so when his father was having hind leg issues, and I was calling the vet and chiropractor and all the other stuff, they say that it was probably because he probably fell off the girls when he was breeding them, and I thought, well, that makes sense because that's about the time he started acting kind of gimpy. But Yoda has been castrated, so I don't know what his deal is, but one way or another, he's going to have to go to the processor pretty soon, just so he can. So I don't know. I get the feeling he's just not there. He's not having a good time in life right now. I just he he tries to get into the pig hut to get in out of the sun, and he gets kicked out. I don't know. So apparently the others in the family know that he's not quite all there either. So he he's kind of been shunned, and I feel bad for him. And the best thing to do is just get him processed. I need to get on the phone and find out how to get some of that done. Softball, we've had some softball. The recreation league is wrapped up. We didn't even get to do the the tournament for the end of the season because, well, for one thing, we've had a lot of rain, but the week that we were supposed to have had the tournament was when we had the tornado come through Claremore. And I don't know if y'all heard about that, but we don't live in Claremore anymore. But the house that we had in Claremore actually had a big tree go down in the front yard. There's been a lot of damage. It's nothing like sulfur and like been wiped off the face of the earth or anything, but there's some serious damage in a lot of places because we'd had like 17 inches of rain. The ground was completely saturated, and we've got huge, gorgeous trees in Claremore, old trees, at least 100 years old, and they have been, because the rain saturated the ground, all these trees have just toppled over. What's kind of fascinating about the whole thing is a lot of places had significant tree damage, but a lot of places did not have actual building damage, structural damage from trees falling. Now, some of the trees did fall on some houses, but if you look at the ratio of trees down to the number of houses that were damaged, it's a pretty significant difference. So God was watching over a lot of people on that, and there have been some pretty good structural damage out of and I was really grateful for one thing because my grandson and his mother were staying in a camper out by the racetrack, and it got hit, and it actually turned over a whole bunch of campers out there. But I found out that neither one of them were there at the time, and I was really grateful for that. The and the trailer park that they lived in a couple of years ago, it got hit really hard, but obviously they don't live there anymore. So I don't know. I was worried at one point because we knew that we had thought that they were going to be in the path of the tornado, and I couldn't get hold of Joseph, my grandson, for several days. And finally, about 3 days into it, he goes, "Oh yeah, I was out of town. Sorry, man." So at least he's safe, and I'm glad for that. But so we did not get to do the recreational league wrap up for the tournament, and we were just as well. It was that was just as well. But this most recent weekend, Kinsey got invited to a tournament in a competitive league, and so we went all the way out to Western Oklahoma, and for the whole weekend, we drove out Friday. All day Saturday we had games. All day Sunday we had games, and we were supposed to have games on Monday also, but more storms blew through, and they were trying to wait out the storms. But one storm came through that was had so much rain in it. Not only did it flood the field that we were on, we drove across town to try to go back to another complex, a softball complex, and all the fields there were flooded out too. So they canceled the end of that tournament. But it was kind of cool, and I was, as much as I was glad to come home, I was also glad that Kinsey got this opportunity. She wants to go to college, and she wants to get scholarships for softball. And there were teams from New Mexico, from Texas, from Kansas, and from Nebraska, and I don't know where else. Those are just the ones that we knew about, and they had scouts there too. So it was an opportunity for Kinsey to be seen, and I have no idea how that's going to turn out, but it was an opportunity. But it was also, if at the very minimum, it was an opportunity for Kinsey to be on a pretty decent team. It wasn't one of the better ones, but it was a better team than what she was with the recreational league. So it helped stretch her a little bit. It gave her an opportunity to be out on the field, and Also, the opportunity to be seen by somebody who would want to let her go to college on a scholarship. So that was a thing. The motel part of the whole thing was a whole different thing. We only found like out like 2 days before that they were wanting Kinsey out there. So I'm trying, and they told me which motel they were staying in out in Western Oklahoma. So because it's a team thing, I booked a room for that same motel, and I got out there a little bit early and I sat in the room. I was not comfortable in this motel though. It was supposed to have had a swimming pool. We found out later it hadn't been open since before COVID. And I don't know. I found a bug that looked really odd on the bed. I looked it up and it looked like it probably was a bed bug. But like I said, I was there earlier before anybody else. And I didn't, you don't want to be a downer, but I mean, because I couldn't verify that it was a bed bug and couldn't verify, but I wasn't comfortable. The first thing I was going to do when Kinsey rode with her friend, and when they showed up, the first thing I was going to do is tell the girls, y'all can't wander around here and can't have a good time. But it literally just as soon as we pulled up, and I was about to go out there and tell them that, other girls on the team came running up to our two girls and said, "There's bugs in our room. There's bugs in our room, and the swimming pool is closed." So the lady that was the mother or grandmother of the other girl, she goes, "Well, then I ain't staying here." And so we ended up going to a much nicer place for about the same price, and it was much safer. It had a swimming pool, and I felt better. It was inside too. The outside ones were they were you had to go outside to get to your room. These were like you can go in an elevator and it was inside and everything, and it had a exercise room. It had all kinds of other stuff. So there was things that they could do, and I felt safer about it. I always went down first thing in the morning and to get away from everybody. I mean, because I get up early, I didn't want to wake up anybody in our room. But so the other grandma and my granddaughter and her granddaughter, the four of us shared a room. That worked out very nicely. I was much more comfortable there, and that worked out better. But then the owner of the other motel promised he was going to let me check out, and there was all kinds of problems with that, but there was enough problems that I had to go to my bank and get the charges reversed, and so that's in the works now too. So but Kenzie had a good time playing. She had some opportunity to be on the floor, and it was nice to be with another woman that we could spend some time and learn about each other. We found out we had a lot of things in common, and our favorite author. It was funny. She found one of his books as Dean Koontz, and he is my favorite author. And we were in a convenience store, or not a convenience store, but a dollar store, and she picked up one of his books. I said, "Oh my gosh, do you read him?" She goes, "Yeah, my favorite author." And I said, "Oh man!" So we had a good time. It was nice to get to talking with them. My foot. It's been 6 months now. I know after they told me I had to have surgery, it was going to be a full year before it was going to be 100%. But I went through a pretty long period afterward where it didn't feel like I was ever going to get well at all. I have turned a corner. I've actually been able to get back into the gym. Very careful, because I'm a wuss. I don't want to mess this foot up anymore. I still limp a little bit. I still have swelling somewhat. It has never really gone down in one part of it, but it is doing better. I am being able to do more, and I'm so very grateful. Okay, what I'm listening to, I am listening to, I can't remember if it was the third or fourth book of the Dune series, is God, Emperor of Dune by Frank Herbert. And this one was written in 1981. And I'm also listening to Survival Theory 2. This is like his second book in the survival theory thing. And his name is Jonathan Hollerman. And he wrote this book in 2023. And what he is dealing with in that book is, well, first of all, he goes into the very first part of it, telling all the different times that he had researched where people were starving to death, and what caused the reasons for them to starve, and some of the conditions they were living in through while they were starving, and all the stuff that they had to do. So I know that sounds gruesome, and it is pretty gruesome. But I'm researching this for another thing, a project I'm doing, and so it's been an interesting listen, and I'm learning a lot. And of course, he's gone into other things besides just food. But I was listening to this particular book to learn about times of starvation in our history. What I'm reading, actual reading and not listening to, I'm reading The Grow System by Marjorie Wildcraft. She wrote it in 2021. And I'm also doing another project because I want to do a podcast on it, but I'm reading a book by When Is It Right to Die by Johnny Erickson Tata. It was written in 1992. Now, I read her, I can't remember the name of the book that she wrote when I was young, you know. She had a diving accident and broke her neck, and she's paralyzed from the neck down. And it's kind of interesting because obviously when you're paralyzed from the neck down, you can't move, you just can't. And I think she can turn her head, and that's about it. And she has actually gotten married, had children, and become an advocate for people who are handicapped in one form or another. And so I thought, well, she's got to be one of the ones I could gives me a little bit better perspective on when is it right to die. You know, everybody comes to tough decisions at one time. Well, I say everybody, I don't know about everybody, but a lot of us as we are aging are coming to tough decisions with our parents. And mom and dad are not there. I don't, you know, but at the same time, you go, you know, they're suffering. Why do we feel like we have to keep them alive, you know? So that's why I'm researching it. I want to get her. And it's not like I want mom and dad to be dead. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want them to suffer. That's my biggest thing. So I'm researching it. I'm trying to come up with a few answers, and I will do a podcast on it. All right, now let's get to the main subject. Are you relying on your spouse too much? Like the old song, Lean on Me. We all need somebody to lean on. And that is true. But how long do you lean? And when do you need to quit leaning? And is the person you are leaning on strong enough to lean on? Can that person lean on you if needed? Often in the early years of marriages, life is sweet. Money may be short, but you know you can get through this together. And you do rely on each other and lean on each other to get you through some of the hard times. And some marriages can last a whole lifetime leaning on each other when needed, being each other's rock and support. Other marriages have too shaky a foundation to provide that support for each other. And sometimes that foundation erodes over time, usually through neglect, possibly brought on by tight schedules, tight money, addictions, or just a variety of other issues. Um, as we've been raising our granddaughter, I have been trying to instill in her many things. I want her to know true love and that this is possible despite her past and the world she observes around her. I want her to find a man that will care for her and love her deeply, providing for her and her family. I also want her to be able to pursue her dreams as she wishes, making the best choices in her life to have all the happiness she deserves. I also want her to be able to care for herself, even if she finds the man of her dreams that is an excellent provider and loves her with a love that fills her emotionally and provides all her wants and needs. I still want her to be able to take care of herself independently. He might get very sick and be unable to care for her and her children. He might die at any age. I have observed women my age in their lives, and I've seen so many whose husbands have passed away, and the wife is left struggling to cope, not only with the emotional, terrible hole in their hearts and lives, but now their house is in need of repair, and the finances are a mess. The mower is broken down, the lights keep flickering, the refrigerator is making a funny noise, and the car broke down again. Men also fall into the trap of taking for granted that their wife will always be there to cook their meals and to do their laundry and always be the emotional support that they sometimes need. When we ran the laundromat in town a few years ago, many times a man would come in to do their own laundry. They would approach the coin operated machines like they would warily approach an animal of dubious temperament. I spent plenty of time explaining to these men, once I learned to fight, how to sort their laundry and run the machines. Occasionally, I would have to deal with the aftermath of a man afraid to ask for the directions as he shoved too much laundry into a machine or poured too much soap in or the wrong kind of soap or whatever. They they can mess up a machine, I guarantee it. Frequently, these new customers would try to sweet talk me or one of my employees into an effort to gain a new spouse or to take over the chores of cooking and cleaning. Once or twice a year, a man would enter the laundromat and loudly proclaim that he was looking for a wife to do his laundry for him. Well, because we had a laundry service also, I usually told these men to just drop their laundry off to me as it would be cheaper than a new wife anyway. And I understand times have changed, and the role of men and women in the household have changed also in correlation of the work schedules and who was at home at the time with the kids. Still, the need to rely on each other stays the same regardless of who did what household chores. And I want Kinsey to have a wonderful, emotional support of her spouse and to truly enjoy her marriage. I also want her to be able to take care of herself in as many areas of her life as possible. I want her to be prepared to handle whatever situation life throws at her to the best of her ability. His absence, whatever the reason, will still create a huge hole in her heart. But being capable of functioning will help her give her the tools she needs to get out of bed each day and tackle whatever needs to be done. I have a niece that has a boyfriend well, they've been together for a few years now, and they're considering marriage. But she would not marry this man until she got her college degree, stating that she would not be put in a position where she would be unable to care for her family properly should anything were to ever happen to him. I admire her forethought. I'm trying to instill this type of thinking into Kinsey, probably because I did not for my own life. My dad always took very good care of mom and us children. I'm pretty sure that even if something had happened to him while we were young, he would have we would have been provided for until mom could get herself together to provide for us afterwards. Many times I've been glad that dad was able to stick around. I shudder to think how life would have been if he hadn't. I entered my own adult life thinking that my husband would provide for me and whatever family we would have, just like my father did. I was woefully wrong, and my boys have paid the price for this costly mistake. Paul says in the Bible that the man is the head of the family. I really struggle with this precept of the Bible. I desperately wanted a man to run the family as my father did. Minimally, I wanted the partnership that a marriage was supposed to be. I fought for this chance, though I made many, many mistakes in the effort. I found out too late that the men in my life did not want to conquer anything. Even now, I'm married to a man who struggles with deep depression and does not want to get help for it. Therefore, I'm the head of the family, again, putting me at odds with Paul's words in the Bible that I'm supposed to follow to the best of my ability. Over the years, I have slowly come to peace with the situation, but not until after many years of anger and frustration. My boys paid the price while I tried to provide a roof over our heads and put food on the table. I took low paying jobs to fill an emergency need. I worked in offices and restaurants, typical jobs for women of my age. I decided to do men's work, hoping to bring in more income. I was a meter reader for some time until the boots damaged my feet irreparably. I worked in a machine shop and did good work, but my boss did not believe women should work in that environment and would never give me a raise or train me for a higher position, even though there were days in the wintertime that I was the only other employee there. Because I did not believe that I would ever be in this position when I was young and coming into the world, I did not prepare for the prospects of pursuing better paying jobs. I didn't get my associate's degree until 2008, the year my youngest son graduated from high school. Even with a degree, I took a job at the laundromat that my future husband had just bought. I truly do not want this kind of life for my granddaughter. I'm researching for and writing a book entitled Living with Men and Without Them: How to Enjoy the Men in Your Life and Enjoy your life when they're gone. As with many books, it may never be fully written. Still, I chose to write this book in hopes of helping women prepare for a good marriage, should they choose one, and to help women enjoy their lives if they choose not to marry or have a time in their lives where man does not play a significant role. We are supposed to learn from our mistakes, and I have made too many to count. Still, if any mistake I made could help someone else from making similar mistakes, passing on this philosophy will be well worth the effort. So, my question of the day for you is, what mistakes have you made in your relationships that would be useful to pass the information on to someone else? Contact me at theciaellis@gmail.com with your views. theciaellis@gmail.com. Okay. I still do the fold card, guys. You need to look into that. We go down to the link below if you're even vaguely interested in cryptocurrency. Go down there. This is a prepaid debit card that you can get at no charge. And what you do is when you use this debit card to for your purchases, and you can do a lot. They're actually taking on a lot more. I don't want to say sponsors. I can't think that's what they're. Different companies that give special rates for, okay, what you do is you use your card and you get a specific, like one, maybe 1% of that purchase goes toward satoshis in Bitcoin. But some companies are offering like 1.5%. Other companies are offering more than that. So this gives you an opportunity. Every time you use your prepaid debit card, you get some satoshis. And I've been doing it for a couple of years, and I've actually been able to, that converts to cash, a pretty significant fund, especially for no more than what I've been able to uh, use. And we're not a high income family yet. But so go to the link below, check out the fold card, and help me out with that, because it won't cost you anything, but it does help me get more satoshis too. I would appreciate if you give me a 5-star review and help others learn about me a little bit. I'm working on getting more uh, consistent with all of my work. I've got a lot of irons in the fire. I enjoy having a lot of irons in the fire, but it does hurt me in in getting content out regularly, well, in one format or another. But where I can be found is right now on Instagram is theciaellis, theciaellis. I every day, pretty much 6 or 7 days a week, I do a quote and I do a scripture, and that's been kind of cool. Because what I do is I'm actually memorizing them, and I'm in my 60s now, and memorization is a little bit chilling. Yeah, I mean a little bit difficult, but it's been good for me. I memorize a verse. I memorize the quote. Do two different things to put on Instagram, and post those several days a week. And of course, then I get things like pictures of the piglets, some of the pretty flowers we've had around here recently. Just different things on the farm on top of that too. So that's at Instagram. I can also be found under some form of Thesia Ellis on TikTok, Facebook, MeWe, Twitter, and Rumble. I have Grandma's Farmstead, Grandma's Homestead.farm, and then my main YouTube channel is Grandma's Homestead. I have one Farm Animal Life, and then Kinsey Lackey Sports. So those are some of the places that I can be found. I I I really had this was weighing on my heart, because I think God gave me boys. I raised boys, and now I'm raising a beautiful granddaughter, and I really want her to be happy. And I figure, whatever information I can put out there to help Kenzie, I think I would try to help you too. So that's all I got for you guys today. God bless. I'll see you next time.